Hello Year 3 and welcome back to day 3 of your writing. So huge well done to everybody who has done such a great job of identifying the features in traditional tales and also boxing up our story of Three Little Pigs. I hope you enjoyed the differences that we have put in our story to make it a bit more adventurous. So all I would like you to do today is have, and I'm going to switch my screen over before I start speaking, is to have a pen or pencil and piece of paper for this session. The tasks are going to be dotted throughout the video, so you don't need any worksheets. So first up, let's go through our do now. So first thing I would like you to do is to make a list with 2 columns. One column is going to have adjectives at the top and the other is going to have adverbs. I've given you a reminder there of what each of those words means. You don't need to write those down. So adjectives are describing words, and adverbs are words ending usually in ly, our ly words, and they are words which describe a verb. So adjectives, then a line, and then adverbs. Pause the video and press play when you are ready for me to explain your task. Okay, so I'm going to give you some sentences, and what I would like you to do is write down the adjectives that you can spot and also the adverbs. I'm going to give you a maximum of 2 sentences at a time before I then move on to the answers, and then we'll start another 2 sentences. So make sure you press pause after I have read the sentences so that you don't see the answers before. So number 1, the bedroom was absolutely spotless because it had been tidied carefully. Number 2, the birds tweeted sweetly in the trees as the wind carried their song softly through the air. Pause the video now and write down your answers. Okay, the answers were, in the first sentence, you had spotless for your adjective and you had carefully for your adverb. In the second sentence, there weren't any adjectives, but there were 2 adverbs, which were sweetly and softly. Okay, so next 2 sentences. Number 3, the noise from the street was completely dreadful because the traffic was so busy. Number 4, I walked as silently as I could, explained Stanley tearfully. Again, pause the video and write down your answers. Press play when you're ready for me to go through them. Okay, so my answers were in the third sentence. The adjectives were dreadful and busy, and the adverb was completely. Number 4, the adverbs were silently and tearfully. There weren't any adjectives in that sentence. Okay, and last sentence, we have the evergreen forest suddenly became very noisy as the plump birds began to squawk loudly. Now, some of my answers have gone just because I don't have a lot of space. But again, pause the video and press play when you are ready to go through the answers. Okay, and the answers were, you had for adjectives evergreen, noisy and plump. Plump means quite chubby. And then you had suddenly and loudly for your adverbs. Okay, so today's lesson we are going to be looking at matching a subject. So that's the thing, object, person we are talking about with an appropriate verb. And I'm going to give you 5 seconds to tell me what kind of word is a verb. A verb is an, that should have an N there, an action word. So it's something that you can do. So I've given you some examples of actions there. We've got spin, wander, smile, flee, like you're escaping something, climb, tickle, fly, and borrow. So all of those things are actions you can do. And a good way to identify whether something is a verb is if you can say I, they, he, she, we. I spin, you spin, they spin, he spins. You smile, I smile, they smile. That tells me it's an action word, so it's a verb. Now, most sentences have both a subject and a verb. So as I mentioned, the subject is who or what the sentence is about. So if my sentence was, the boy sprinted for the finish line, the boy would be the subject. That's who I'm talking about in that sentence. The verb is the action that the subject performs. So the subject in my sentence was the boy. What did the boy do? He sprinted. So you can see those 2 words next to each other boy and sprinted, that's my subject-verb agreement. That just means a subject and a verb together. So what I'm going to do is look at this sentence and I'm going to circle the subject and underline the verb. So my steps are I need to identify the subject, which is who or what the sentence is about, and then what verb, so what action is that subject performing or doing. So my sentence. At the watering hole, the hippopotamus gulped down the water. So my subject is most likely going to be a noun, which I know can be a person or an object. It's not really going to be a place because place can't perform an action. So I've got watering hole, but the watering hole isn't doing anything. The hippopotamus, so I'm going to circle hippopotamus because that's the who or what of my sentence. And secondly, what is the hippopotamus doing? Gulped. Past tense of to gulp. So I'm going to underline gulp. I think I'll do that in blue. There we go. So I found my subject verb agreement. Second, before the bell rang, I tidied my table. So again, I need to identify the subject, the who or what of my sentence. Now, something to bear in mind, there can be more than one subject-verb agreement in a sentence. Before the bell rang, well, bell is an object, it's a subject, so I can circle that. I think I circled it in red, didn't I? And what does the bell do? It rang. So there is one subject-verb agreement, but is there another one? I tidied my table. I meaning myself. I could be a subject. I could be the who of this sentence. Oh, that's in blue. I want red. I, and what am I doing? What verb am I performing? Tidied. So I can underline, and in the right colour, the second verb. So I have two subject-verb agreements there. Bell rang. I tidied. Okay, let's do another one. Now I'm going to give this to you guys. So let's see if you can identify the subject and the verb. When Captain America saved the city, the people cheered gleefully. Can you identify the subject, so the who, what of the sentence, and can you identify the verb, so the action that they've performed? I'm going to let you pause the video here. And you can write it out, or you can just write the subject with the verb, so it doesn't take you that long. And press play when you are ready to go through the answer. Remembering there could be more than one. Okay, so there were two. We had Captain America. He was the who of the sentence, so he was my subject. And what did he do? He saved. Captain America, subject, verb, saved. But then there was another one. People. People are the who of a sentence. What did the people do? They cheered. Good. So people, subject, cheered. Verbs. There were two in that sentence. So well done if you spotted those. Okay, we have another one. Oshin and Louis both scored incredible goals just before the game ended. Two boys in my class who I'm sure will be happy to have their names used. Oshin and Louis both scored incredible goals just before the game ended. So again, pause the video, identify the subject of my sentence and what the verb was. Again, there might be more than one. Okay, I hope you paused in plenty of time. If not, press pause again because I'm about to tell you the answer. Oshin and Louis were the who of my sentence, so they would have been the subject. And even though the next word is both, scored would be the verb. Oshin and Louis scored, so that would be my first subject-verb agreement. Incredible goals just before the game ended. Game was another subject. It's the what of my sentence. It's not really a person, it's not really an object, but it's definitely a what. And what did it do? It ended. So that would be my second subject-verb agreement. So think of them like pairs. So again, I've got one here. A plump robin tweeted sweetly into the winter morning. Robin is my subject, it's the who of my sentence, and then tweeted is the verb. Okay, so for your first task, what I would like you to do is, I have 3 sentences here. I would like you to pause the video, read each and identify the subject verb. So all you have to do is identify the who or what of the sentence, what are they doing, and just write those out. You don't need to write the full sentence, just write the subject and the verb. So pause the video here and press play when you are ready. Okay, so I'm going to go through the answers. So number 1, Mr. Parker, that would have been the subject, the who. What did he do? He ran, so it was Mr. Parker ran. Number 2, at the end of the day, Miss Chowdhury saw the books lying on the table. There were 2 in this sentence. You had Miss Chowdhury, me, who was the who of the sentence. And what did I do? I saw, that was my verb. So it was Miss Chowdhury saw. And then there was a second one. I wonder if you identified that. You had the books, which were the what of my sentence. And what were they doing? They were lying, as in strewn across the table. So books lying would have been your second subject verb agreement. And then the third, you had Miss Williams strolled along the corridor during her break. My subject is my who of the sentence, which would have been Miss Williams, and my verb would have been stroll, to take a leisurely walk. So highlighted in blue are what you should have identified. And if you did the challenge, really great job. Upload those to Seesaw so we can see what great sentences you've got. Okay, so now we have got some subject-verb agreements missing from my sentences. So let's have an idea of what we could use to put in there to complete them. Out of nowhere, my cat playfully at me. So I know I've got my subject. My subject is going to be my playful cat, but what is going to be my verb? Now, I want it to be something, well, it has to be a verb. It's got to be something that a cat can do. Out of nowhere, I think my cat might have, leapt playfully at me, jumped playfully at me, looked playfully at me. But the fact that it says out of nowhere makes me think that's a sudden movement. Second sentence. At the end of a long day, Freya, in front of the television, another name drop for somebody in my class. At the end of a long day, Freya, so Freya would be my subject. She's the who of my sentence. What could she do? Freya has to be a verb, an action. Lounged in front of the television. Sat in front of the television. I've just noticed that is missing a full stop. Dearie me. Not working. Oh, well, it's meant to have a full stop. There you go. Sat in front of the television. So quite a few I could have put in there. As it was winter, the nestled in his cave to hibernate. Oh, now in this sentence, I see I don't actually have my subject. I do have my verb is nestled. Lounge in front of television, and the bear nestled in his cave to hide. Okay, what I would like you to do is to complete the subject agreement. Today, I will send family. Second, Max nervously around as he through the deserted playground. And 3, after he won the Billy happily. So what I've done there is taken out either the verb or the subject. You have to identify which is missing and complete it. Now, this is your task, so all you have to do is preferably write out the sentence, so you have a full complete sentence with the subject verb agreement. I'm looking forward to seeing you upload your sentences on Seesaw, and if you would like, you can absolutely write some of your own, highlighting where your subject verb agreement is. So I am going to stop sharing my screen and wave goodbye from my virtual classroom and see you all tomorrow. Well done.